Welcome back, Goblin Chefs. It's APGAINS. I was originally going to do this video in-game, but then I found myself referring to lotr.gg statistics, and so I decided to just do it here. Best light side character. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Most people say Halbrad, and that's because they see highest health pool in the game. One thing that I like to always do when I'm judging characters is this is set to full 7 stars, level 61, gear tier 8, so quite possibly the highest. I always bring everything down to 5 stars, level 50, gear tier 7. Actually, let's just do gear tier 8 because I have like one character gear tier 8, or I'm going to soon. So realistically, this is like first month free to play. You can have one of these characters. So like, who is that character going to be? And he's still up there as far as health, but you see characters like Great Goblin who are doing surprisingly well at this level. I know you want to project out to 7 stars and stuff like that, but realistically, the meta is going to change so much, and the characters that are good now are not going to be good in like 2 or 3 months. This is kind of just getting a baseline to get through all of your missions so you can farm gear, so you can set yourself up to be able to farm the real meta and the real teams and the real raid teams and the real all that other nonsense that comes out into the future. So this is how I like to judge characters, because it's much more realistic, because I'm nowhere near level 50, and my characters are mostly not anywhere near level 8, and they're mostly not 5 stars. So a lot of the later stat bonuses that characters like Halbrad get aren't really that applicable for most people. Now, obviously, some people are spending tons of money and have a couple of 7-star characters, but that's mostly characters that are guild. So, like, realistically, that's mostly just, like, Ironhide, right? Just like, if you have a 7-star character, 99% of the time it's probably Ironhide. The other 1% of the time is probably Ugluk, if we're being honest. So as far as damage is concerned, he doesn't perform particularly great as far as the damage is concerned. He's tied with Ugluk, which I guess is nice, but Ugluk also doesn't really do a ton of damage. What I really like about filtering by damage is my favorite character, and the character that I'm going to try to argue in this video is the greatest light side character. HOM-E pops up here very nicely. This also scales, by the way, if you're curious. Like, if you were to bump these up, he scales. I think he's like the tied for second as far as highest damage is concerned. But the great thing that you see about HOM-E is he's still relatively high as far as health is concerned, right? Like, he's still there with Bolg. You know, a lot of the other characters that are very comparable as far as tankiness are concerned, he's up there, right? He's not the 6,000 extra health that Halbrad gets, but he's going to do a lot more damage, and more importantly, he's going to be called to assist a lot, which is nice. As far as armor is concerned, Aothane's got him beat out quite a bit on armor, but he's not terrible. Where's the armor stat? He's at 793 armor, which is... Oh, I was actually looking at the wrong stat. So he's about 400 less than Aothane. Halbrad, is he even on this list? He's got to be here somewhere, right? I feel like I could control F, but then we would lose the anticipation. Yeah, Halbrad's got terrible armor, which is really weird because I feel like armor, especially right now, is more important than total health, because being able to block people from doing like big crits and big damage is kind of juicy, especially when everyone's kind of relatively the same health. Like, the difference between the highest health character in the game and then someone like, you know, Ironhide, who's thick, but like, he's going to scale more because you're going to be able to get him to higher gear and higher stars way faster. Like, he's going to kind of surpass Halbrad in every category. And we're talking about light side characters, but just keep in mind that in the free-to-play realm, a lot of these characters are a lot closer than you think. So it comes down to synergy, it comes down to kit, but it also comes down to just who's good at everything and not just great at one thing. Focus doesn't really matter. Speed is not something that I'm super, like, concerned about as far as the meta is concerned. Like, some characters, like the small people, happen to be really quick, and some people, like the big people, happen to be pretty slow. Let me see if I can find our usual suspects for the head-to-head comparison. Halbrad is 139. I believe HOM-E is slightly slower than that, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's like 135, 128. So he's a little bit slower. And again, these speeds are so close that it doesn't really matter all that much, especially in in metas where everyone is rocking the exact same characters. It doesn't really seem to matter. If we were to extend this out to whatever they have it at, I'm going to set it to 60, not 61, and we're still at max gear. this is where Halbrad starts to kind of take off as far as health is concerned. He's up there in the 33s, and a character like Éomer is down here at 25, right? So that's what, 8,000 difference instead of 6,000. So he gets a little bit of a lead there. As far as damage is concerned, Éomer is up there at 2,300, tied for second place. Obviously, Brute is the best character in the game, but he's also, you got to spend money on him, and that's why he's the whale's favorite character. But Éomer is up there with characters like fucking Bolg and Keely and Mauhar and Leftu. Well, a little bit better than Leftu. Like, these are the usual suspects as far as hitting like fucking trucks. And then Ironhide, I mean, he's even like, this is, I know this doesn't look like a lot, but in a game where the margins are so close and the difference of like 1 or 200 power in your team is the difference between always winning and never winning. Like, this difference between Éomer and Ironhide is quite substantial. Now, obviously, Ironhide has AoEs, which is why we want him, because this damage is getting applied to everyone, and this damage is getting applied to one person. But the nice thing is this guy is going to assist quite a bit, which is very juicy, especially with the extra crit chance and stuff like that. I'm not going to worry about figuring out where Halbarad is because he's not exactly a damage dealer. As far as armor is concerned, I think Halbarad actually starts to pick up a lot of steam in the armor category in the later levels. Éomer's at 991, and Halbarad, actually, does he stay low? He's still down at 520. So this is max that he could possibly be. He's still 529, which is remarkably low armor. Which again is not a fantastic thing for a tank because he does have actual taunting. He does gain actual taunt, which is not provoke. So this is like permanent. And the one thing I don't like about taunting in this game, and I think provoke does a really good job of this, is that characters are not strong enough to survive taunting, right? Especially a character that you kind of want to give health and you want him to stay around, right? Like, you don't want people to die. Like, I like provoke because it like takes the ire away from certain characters for a little bit of time, but without the permanentness of an actual taunt where in a close meta, if everyone targets you for 1.5 turns, you will die. This character will die. Now, theoretically, sure, let him die. But for a character that's supposed to be super thick and has allegedly great health, well, I guess it's not alleged, he does have great health, him having low armor, and especially going against teams that really abuse low armor characters, like a lot of the, I don't want to necessarily say Bolg, but I'll say a lot of the standard like Isengard orcs really do well against characters who have low armor. It just doesn't seem like he's up to snuff as far as being an actual tank is concerned. Now, let me see if I can pull the game up here real quick. There we go. Now, obviously, you can spend, I think, $70 to get 60-something shards of him and have him, like, a little bit more, and you can slowly farm him here. But other than that, like, this character is going to be incredibly slow to farm, right? This is not a character that you can farm relatively quickly, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm always struggling to have this shit. Like, I'm farming Bolg, but, like, when they offer 2,500 and I only have 1,500 and the event only comes around, you know, once a week or something like that. Watch, it's probably going to pop up right now. No, I guess I got to wait. It's 35 minutes. But, like, I have to be level 40 just to get to gear tier 4 to get 100 extra, which is like 300 total extra. Like, this is nothing. They give you nothing, which makes these characters incredibly hard to fucking farm, right? So maybe he picks up health and he bridges that gap as far as the health is concerned, but he's not getting more damage. He's not getting more armor. He's just getting pure health. And for a character that you can't really scale all that much, let me filter by power, and then I unfavored him. So I ritualistically unfavored him recently because I realized he's not exactly as good as we all think he is. For a character that you can't really get to competitive levels, like, it would be totally different if they sold us packs. Like, if they sold us more packs of him. Like, if you could buy more of him, I would totally get it. If you could buy him to 5 or 6 stars and to keep it competitive with, you know, characters on the light side team like Éomer, and obviously you'd probably use him with Éomer and Strider and Éowyn and Eothane. Like, is he a better character to gear up than Eldred? Probably. Let's be completely honest. But this is not the best 5 characters. This is the best character, and I will die on the hill of Éomer being the best character because he's just so fucking beautiful. And I'm not quite level 40 yet, but he will be my second gear 8 after I completely max level my gas. I'm close to bringing him to 6 stars, 7 stars. I'm not gonna actually press the button, but I will do the whole gear thing, and I'm incredibly excited for that. So I'm incredibly tired as well, so I'm gonna go fucking sleep. And I'll see you guys later.